Hey guys, Ryan here with Our 3 Cents, and today we're going to be speaking with LiAison ID about their artificial intelligence technologies for businesses. In addition to RC Williams and Julianna Ormond, the founders, we're going to be speaking with them about that in addition to their work with the 1 Million Cups Foundation. Tune in. Hey guys, Ryan here with Nuclear Business Club, and you are listening or watching Our 3 Cents, the talk show for dreamers, doers, and entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, Bree Goldstein cannot be with us today. She is out on business, but I am here with my co-host, Scorpio Mosley. Scorpio, welcome. What you got going on this week, man?
Oh man, it's a pleasure to be here today. Obviously, every production is always a fun time to learn new nuggets, learn more about various companies. As far as myself, I continue to push the envelope with my eyewear company, Scorpio Lamont Eyewear. You can always check us out on scorpiolamont.com. But enough about me. Let's get back to our guests.
Yeah, well, welcome RC, welcome Julianna with the LiAison ID company. We're going to be talking a little bit today about that. So guys, if you would for a moment, just give us a little bit about your background, how you got started with this LiAison ID, how you guys met. The whole experience. We want to kind of know. Give us the Cliff Notes version, but don't leave any of the juicy details out.
Oh boy, so exciting to be here today, guys. Thank you. And it's an exciting road. Today, talking about what's going on with technology, how you help business, but also what we're doing in community with 1 Million Cups and being Rotarians. It's great to be here today to share that with the audience, and hopefully we're able to help a ton of entrepreneurs.
Awesome. I love that. And Scorpio, thank you for obtaining this interview. So we appreciate you pulling those strings. But guys, well, very cool. So first off, let's get right into what is LiAison ID. I know you still have some confidentiality agreements in place and some stuff that's still in development. But give the viewers an idea of why LiAison ID is such a hot topic right now and why it's getting so much attention in the media.
Sure. One of the long-running jokes, guys, is we live in the future, right? LiAison ID, in its essence, is relationship intelligence for business. So one of the things that comes up a lot is there's more information than you know what to do with. Mm-hmm. And making sense of it all in and of itself is a significant leap forward in the space of technology, but business in general. So think about the world we live in now. There's so much data that it's creating its own data. Mm-hmm. Sounds almost futuristic, maybe, Skynet type of thing.
Yeah, right? Cyberdyne systems.
Right, but that's the world we live in today. And businesses have so many other things going on that they still haven't quite tapped into this well of value that's available to them for information that they have, and then to make it make sense with other information that's available. So it's exciting to be, many have told us, on the bleeding edge or the cutting edge of these things, and being able to shape the future of business.
Taking that information and how we're using that information, applying that information to helping humanity. How are we changing the dynamics of how business is being run, how nonprofits are working, how the government is working, actually having an impact and a voice in all of that.
That's awesome. I mean, the information that you can obtain from that is invaluable. I mean, as a small business owner, especially, I know, and you can probably attest to this. We're not always the best of keeping our information all in one platform, and then being able to communicate with each other, and so that's really powerful, especially for the small businesses. Right.
That's really, really important for me. Although I'm the CEO of the company, I'm really a chief creative officer more than a CEO. That's why I'm looking to hire somebody to help with that, the inside of the company. But I needed to be able to look at the data and the information of my company or what's happening around me in ways that were the ways that I could understand it in graphs and charts. It's not in Excel spreadsheets and financials because I'm dyslexic. I can't even look at a financial. So now we're developing the platforms to be able to look at the information the way I need to be able to see the information. I want to be able to plug in, if I put money in this portion of my company, how is that going to impact the rest of my company?
Wow. So you're basically making something that is incredibly complex and making it digestible for the average person, which, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all, I'm no math whiz. I mean, I know a few, but I'm by no means one of them. And so I think that could be very useful. I mean, Scorpio, your thoughts?
I think obviously with most entrepreneurs, you're resolving an issue, right?
Right.
So, as I'm thinking about and hearing you guys talk about that, at what point did you realize that, hey, there's a niche here, there's something that needs to be resolved that would benefit me? Tell us a little bit more about that story and how you came to that solution.
Boy, so I mean, a great story. When we met, we were each consulting And when we got together, we started working on projects. And one of the things that we recognized is we're really good at architecting solutions. So some people would say it's magic, right? We joked about that before the show started. But in a sense, being able to see what the solution to a problem is for a client and then aggregating all the parts you need to solve that problem, we realized we were good at that. The other thing we realized that we were good at is taking all of that disparate information and getting to a conclusion. Through that process, we've managed to forecast some pretty important things. One that's been fun for a lot of people is the legalization of online sports gambling in the US. So we forecasted that the Supreme Court would rule in favor of this. What was even more interesting is we were able to peg 5 of the 6 businesses that were going to be winners from that process.
Wow.
As of today, 2 of them have actually bought other companies in that mix.
Wow.
So, what we said to ourselves when we did that type of thing is, how much more could we do if we could get through 100, 1,000, 10,000 pages of data in a day? What problems could we solve? How could we help move humanity forward? And so at that point, we said, we're really onto something here. Like, we can help way more people than just us.
Wow, that's good stuff. I know, obviously, data analytics, I know for a lot of companies, a lot of the answers that they're looking for is in the data and analytics. And you guys are finding those answers at a much faster pace. So is that the idea of what you're trying to accomplish with?
Yeah, I have to shout out Julianna here as the chief visionary. So one of the things that she recognized very early on is that you can be as technical and have as much data as possible.
Right.
If you don't ask the right questions, it doesn't matter.
We're literally asking the data a hypothesis. You have to create the right question for it to go out and get the information that you need. If you think of a mathematical formula, 2x squared y cubed z squared plus, you need to know what the x, the y, the z is. You need to know how much of each one of them and how are they, where are the parentheses, where's the plus, where's the division, once you have the full formula, then you know what the answer is. People don't know how to find what the x, the y's, and the z's are.
Yeah, something else that we found interesting in both our individual consulting practices and building a business together, and Warren Buffett has said this. I know many entrepreneurs are fans of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger at Berkshire Hathaway. They've said it, and I think a lot of people miss it. At the core, businesses are human. Mm-hmm. Many people look at numbers, but when they do that, they don't always ask the right questions. They don't have the right formula, as Julianna mentioned. When you get to the human of something, you will quickly discover the core or the root of the challenge and also the solution.
Wow, that's actually, I mean, it's so basic but so true. I mean, that is really really powerful. So thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
And I'm a huge Warren Buffett fan. Me and him, I think, have share the same affinity for McDonald's. So I'm a big fan, and I like his I like his down to earth personality. So that's very cool. But let me ask you this, because I know we've kind of talked a little bit about this too. What is your connection with the 1 Million Cups project, and how did that whole thing start? Because that's a fascinating group. I've always been very intrigued by that.
You tell the story of how we found 1 Million Cups way better than I do.
We actually had a friend. We were a unicorn company, so when you're a technology company, you're behind this closet. You have no idea what's going on. You need to come out into the public. And a friend of mine said, you need 1 Million Cups. You're going to find your people there. And we went, and Rupert Magnott was facilitating, and he was like, we're looking for someone to take over. This was March 3 years ago. And he says, we're looking for someone to facilitate. And I go, you're up. And he goes, you're crazy. And I said, no. I said, we have to be out in the public. We need to find the people who are going to help us develop this company. And sure enough, every single week, we've never missed. The reason why we've been able to build this company is because of 1 Million Cups, because we serve the people out in the audience and they served us. They've grown, we've grown.
Well, it's like a constant vetting process. You're meeting all these people and you're like, okay, I can already see who I want on my team.
That's exactly what's been happening.
This is the guy I want to help. This is the guy I want to help me.
Yeah.
This is that's brilliant.
When we started, August 1st, 2017 was our first week as organizers, and we talked to people a lot about the power of owned experiences. 1 Million Cups, not just our chapter, but the others around the country, we'll get to that a bit later. It is truly an owned experience, or a people-powered community. We would not be here today if Scorpio had not presented at 1 Million Cups and we had not built a relationship with him. So it works, and it works in a special way. that we work to get the word out about
Right.
as organizers?
Yeah, I would say definitely, and this is obviously for our listeners out there, getting involved with something like 1 Million Cups is huge, because I know for me, I kind of timidly made my way there, but once I got there and I met you two guys, and I shared with you my thoughts about presenting, I'm like, man, I'm not sure if this is gonna work out the way I think or not, and you're like, look, man, you're gonna be fine. It was really much greater than I expected. The people there are effusive with praise, and just kind of gave a lot of feedback. Everybody kind of bottom one stopped and gave their thoughts about what they had just heard. But I'm still connected with a few people to this day, so it was a really, really great experience. So I tell everyone that I know about it, and like I said, you guys, it was just such a great time, and I really appreciate it. So if I hadn't told you, we'll tell you that now. So
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Well, we did an org chart a couple of days ago, and I can't tell you how many people were a result of 1 Million Cups.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, because 1 Million Cups is caffeinated by the Kauffman Foundation based in Kansas City. We're actually going to an organizer summit soon. And the logic was that every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. across the country, entrepreneurs could present their business or idea in the guppy tank for 6 minutes, and then get 15 minutes of feedback from an audience to help them to grow. So there are 181 Million Cups chapters all over the country that do this. And Hewing Marion Kauffman was a super successful entrepreneur in Kansas City. He actually founded the Kansas City Royals. And when you go to Kansas City, you'll notice the name Kauffman on just about everything. He founded the Kauffman Foundation with the edict of education and entrepreneurship. He believed that anyone in this country should have a fundamental right to pursue their business or idea, and there should be resources for them to do that. And 1 Million Cups is one of the ways that Kauffman forwards that mission.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So it's a general premise then, at an average meeting, if I've read correctly into my research, an average meeting would have about 2 presenters for about 6 minutes each, and then about 15 to 20 minutes of feedback from the audience, but the other entrepreneurs in attendance?
Yes, that's correct. And it's done in a way, we talk about nurturing, we talk about community. There was some discussion even about the language. It's not a pitch, it's a presentation. It is feedback, right? This isn't necessarily an investor pool. It's a way for you to improve your presentation, to get feedback on your business so that you can take the next steps. We've seen an interesting trend. The state of Florida is very strong with 1 Million Cups chapters. Lakeland just opened recently, so now we're up to 13 chapters in the state of Florida. What's happened is that entrepreneurs have started to take the tour of Florida. They'll do Orlando, they'll do Daytona Beach, they'll do Tampa, they'll do St. Petersburg, and we've also had some that have explored out. David Ponraj, who runs a company called Startup Space out of Tampa, has now done, I think, 45 1 Million Cups around the country.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he started in Tampa, then he came to us. I think we were his second stop. And from there, he's taken off and made it a thing, and he's taken the story along with him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Probably getting a lot of valuable insight along the way too.
That's great.
It's like being around these are my people,
Yes.
and I don't know a lot of people in the entrepreneurial space. I'm actually probably a little bit weird because I always shy away from those groups, and I don't know why, because I know it would be beneficial, but so I will definitely check this out because I need to get more involved, and I'm that guy that's like, I'm going to do it one day, and I just never go. So for you people listening out there,
I'm going to keep
check
you
out the 1
accountable
Million
to
Cups.
it.
Yes, and I'll be there. I'll come too. Shoot me an email, and we'll go together.
You just got to dive in, man.
We got you on tape.
I really will. I put my money where my mouth is. I would love to see this whole thing. Especially being that you said it's over at Rollins College. Is that where you
Correct.
guys?
Rollins College,
go to?
Winter
I mean, that's a big thing. I would love to check that out, and I'm local to the community as well. So very cool.
You need to find the people that you need to run with. That's
I
really
preach
where
this to
they
people
are.
all the time. Hey, if you want to operate at this level, be with the people at this level. But I think out of my small circle of people, I don't venture out enough, and I think that's to my own detriment. So I think what you guys are doing is very awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I like to, go into organizations, especially like Rotary, for example. They're like, we need more projects. I'm like, you need more projects. I got some projects for you. And motivate that, move that organization to do things. You were talking about owned experience. Like
Yes.
my community, we have about 70 people who come every single week, and they own the fact that we're here for free enterprise and to take care of our community, take care of Orlando. They take 1 Million Cups very seriously what's going on. They go out into the larger community and say, you need to know about 1 Million Cups and what we're doing for Orlando in general.
We had a regular of ours at another meeting. She had her 1 Million Cups mug at this meeting, right? So she's at a different meeting. And we were wrapping up and she came up to us and she said, who do we have presenting tomorrow? And we stopped in our tracks and we actually told the story the next day at 1 Million Cups. And we said, did you guys catch what we said? It wasn't who's presenting tomorrow. Who do we have presenting tomorrow? The power of an owned experience, what we say with clients or when we're in public, is the difference between Costco and the corner store. Right? The corner store is kind of there, right? But if I told you Costco was closing, your response would be what time? Right. But if I told you forever, there would be ultimate protest.
Mayhem.
You would not let that happen because Costco is an owned experience. I always joke, if someone is going to Sam's Club, they'll tell you they're going to Costco. It's ingrained in here.
Taking
it's
a Tylenol no matter what it is.
There you go. So the power of an owned experience, once you get that part right, and I think for entrepreneurs, when we share that with them at 1 Million Cups or when we do shows like this, is don't discount the power of people owning an experience around your business or something that you do, because that's the way that you get to the status of a Google or an Amazon or those that you may aspire to be, right? That's the way it happens. You don't do that.
Right.
The people around you who take ownership of the experience do that.
Yeah, that's very true. Without that support system in place, I mean, you'll never get there. It's just it's just too massive to climb that hill alone. So, well, very powerful. What were you good?
No, I was just thinking. So you guys, obviously, LiAison ID is off and running. 1 Million Cups. You guys are facilitating that as well. What are some other projects and things that you guys are involved in? I know your resume had a couple other things listed as well. But.
Oh boy. So, our backgrounds are interesting and diverse. We talk about there's a symbiotic relationship because we're different, but when we sync, we're very much the same. Did you want to?
You want to talk about? Okay, so we were introduced. A friend of ours was like, the two of you need to meet. He's moving from San Francisco, and I'm thinking, there's no way that I want to meet anybody at this point in time, right? We meet, and we're like, oh, okay, this is why we needed to meet. But with your background with media, and technology.
Yeah, so born and raised in San Francisco, and I grew up around radio and TV stations as a kid. So KGO in San Francisco was legendary for the ability to tell stories. So coming up in a time in the late 70s, early 80s, we had a series of painful events. There was the Jonestown Massacre, Harvey Milk and George Moscone were assassinated. Like, these things happened in a rapid succession. And San Francisco was a very progressive place. There was a lot of great music, incredible talent coming out of there. Growing up around the best news anchors, really in the country at that time, but having them in the same room and watching them guide a community through an experience and allowing them to express themselves was something that stuck with me. And I think I kind of knew, even as a kid, that I was going to go in that direction of communicating with people. So, after school, I got into the broadcast business, and having all of that with me, I always worked to be able to tell a story. So on 9/11, I was in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is where Fort Campbell is. So it's right on the border. And I remember that day leaving my house. I had about a 15-minute drive to work. I was going down the main road, and from the time that I shut off my TV and I went downstairs to my car, the first plane hit. And I got in the car and I was scanning radio, right? Because we're outside of Nashville, so I'm scanning everything. And I'm thinking, this is a really sick joke. Whoever's doing this is a really bad prank. Right. But as I'm driving down the road, I start to see barbed wire come out because Fort Campbell runs forever. And I start to see soldiers. I was one of the last people to turn the corner on State Line Road to get to the station. I didn't go home for 3 days. We were really the last conduit. Families were calling from all over the country because they couldn't get information on their relatives who were stationed at Fort Campbell. I had military wives getting orders. Their husbands were getting orders. They didn't know where they were going. They were just deploying them within hours of the incident. So, here I am, having grown up in a place where I watched incredible communicators allow a community to heal, and here I am in that position. And so those things stick with you. And I got into technology in the late 90s, and I ran this parallel with media, but I think one of the things that I took away in my experience is that the ability to allow people to express themselves or to be able to communicate in a way where people feel empowered to do that is critical. So as an entrepreneur, you hear this a lot, and it's kind of cliche, tell a good story, but it's true. And when you tell it from the heart, it's critical. I've got one, Julianna, she's got incredible stories, and you guys do too, but telling that story is everything. And your background is what makes you. And that story is important, and it's important to your success.
So then when we met, my background being business and forensic psychology, he started building algorithms and technology based on the psychology aspect of it, while I started growing an entire business around what he was doing, and voila, here we have LiAison ID. Like, if it wasn't for his background, what he's done, and my background, what I've done, and the melding of the two, we would never have been able to form the technologies and the things that we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Two different coasts. Julianna's from Brooklyn. And it's funny because San Francisco is a very East Coast city. And we were joking, I had to go on business to New York one time, and I said, I'm standing in Manhattan, and I actually know directions because the cities are laid out the same way. So we always have these great jokes about where we come from and our backgrounds.
And you would go to meetings and be like, my wife is back in Florida, very upset that I'm in New York and she's not here with me.
I tell people, you are not permitted to say anything if we get on the phone about how nice this is. Because I already got one foot in the grave. Don't make it any worse.
Do you guys find it hard to, I know we talked a few episodes back with another couple that worked together in the YouTube space. Do you guys find it challenging to work together, play together, be together on all fronts, or you guys seem like you have some great chemistry. So are you one of those rare anomalies? If you are, make us sick and tell us. I mean,
it took us a minute to figure out, when we were wearing because I wear the CEO hat, when it's the CEO hat and when it's the wife hat. And have that balance of, today is us day and, tomorrow will be work day. And just because I kicked your fanny today at work doesn't mean that I don't love you at home and that wasn't the wife that was talking. We have to, have that balance. It took a while for that to happen.
Yeah, I would say that anyone who puts on airs that it doesn't take work is doing exactly that. It takes a ton of work.
The business grows because you grow.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and we're different people than we were 5 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Way different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're talking about, technology needing the female voice. People are scared about this thing called technology. It's been weaponized against us. What is it going to do? How are they going to use it? How are we going to apply this thing called technology? And I think we need a female talking about how we're going to start helping humanity, and being fair with this thing called technology. So, getting on the stage and start doing that and leading the voice in that.
I think that's very powerful. I think it's just like today, like we didn't have Bree here today, who's our other co-host. And so I was already a little panicked, like, oh, we don't have the female perspective, like, we're going to be off balance, or, because we're two guys, so if one of us are gone, it's, hey, just one of the guys are gone,
Right.
So I do think the female perspective is so unique and so powerful, because it's completely different. As much as I like to think I'm the smartest guy in the room, I know that's not the case, 9 times out of 10, and so it's nice to have the voice of reason, so to speak, or rationale.
Well, with my education, it's in integrative studies. So for me, it's always about getting the right people at the table, discussing the topic, right? And then all of us looking at it and coming to an understanding about that topic, having a right perspective about that topic. Because I'm not right, you're not right, but somebody has to facilitate coming together and looking at it the way that it needs to be looked at. They say 100% of the time, if you're an expert in your field, you can't make long-term predictions because you don't see everything else that you need to be able to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've bucked some conventional wisdom.
A lot of conventional wisdom.
Yeah, some experts in their field have we've shared a good chuckle together, as I could say, probably as nicely as I can say.
Really excited about how we're using this technology.
Yeah.
You guys seem incredibly passionate about it. Let me ask you one more question, unless Scorpio, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you, I wanted to ask you real quick. So as far as the technology goes, I mean, is this something that how long are you still in development? I mean, how long did this take you to get a grasp on it and then to perfect it, or are you still perfecting it?
So, I mean, I guess I'll answer as honestly as I can. This has been a process, I think, our whole lives, really, and it's accelerated but you're always iterating and improving things in the technology space. Anyone that tells you, oh, this is perfect and we're out the door is done. I think Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn said, if you are not embarrassed by your first version, you're moving too slow. And Mark Zuckerberg said the same thing, and they don't know who to give credit to. But in essence, it's true, right? You have to constantly be iterating. You have to be talking to people. You have to be watching and understanding what the need is. I think Les Brown said that people think that opportunity is going to come up and smack them on the back. No, it's going to hide in plain sight, waiting for you to recognize it.
Right.
You know, it's not just going to tell you, hey, I'm here, I'm opportunity.
And believe it or not, building some of the technologies was the easy part. It's the, how do you translate that into a product? How do you use that product? Then how do you go sell that product?
Very true.
Yeah, we're having conversations about, all of the licensing and the technology and whatnot, and how important that is versus the company that applies that technology. It's the application. It's really hard to figure out what does that mean and how do you speak about that so for the people to adopt what it is that you're doing. This is a new field.
Which model do you use, and how do you monetize it and market?
Right, it's an interesting journey. As business mentors, we do a lot, obviously, in the startup community. Having these conversations with investors, for some of them, we've opened their eyes to this, right? You guys had Kathy Chu on a couple of episodes ago. She's excellent, incredibly,
she was awesome,
incredibly talented,
and very funny, down to earth,
she's funny.
Super cool.
She is one of the people that gets it, and when you have conversations with investors, sometimes you open their eyes. And one of the things that we've said to people in general is what Julianna just mentioned. It bears repeating. Whatever your business is, think about there are probably 10 other people that could do it. Your ability to practically apply that and make it work for someone else is the magic.
That's the key.
Right?
That's the
thing.
part.
And if you can't do that, then you will be amongst those 10 and you'll compete and you'll have some level of success. But people say, well, look, how do I become the next Amazon? How do I become the next this? How do I become the next that? And I say, go back and analyze the human. What Jeff Bezos simply said, he wrote his business plan on a napkin, right? Everybody knows that story. What they don't remember is that he is obsessed with the customer experience. So he is, even today, with a net worth of $150 billion, he's still scared to death that somebody's going to eat his lunch. So he's constantly iterating and trying to figure out how to practically apply all the incredible technology Amazon has. Because at the end of the day, you can have the best gadget in the world. But if you can't button up your shirt with it, doesn't matter. Right?
So literally, we've staved off going full face public in what we're doing. Like, we're not doing a hard launch to the first of the year because I want to make sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and we have all of our ducks in a row before we make that first hello to the world.
Yeah.
You mentioned doing an organizational chart earlier. So are you guys employing folks, or is it more partners that you're working with as far
both.
as
It's a mix of both.
Both, right. And we're in the middle of raising and scaling and oh my God, and everything's starting to take off and things are happening.
You talk about Amazon and some of these other companies and the vision that he has, we have to be able to scale that. So
that's what we're
for
doing.
you guys, what does that look like as you're trying to scale LiAison ID? How does that work for you guys?
Scary.
Yeah, it is, and we chose a market segment without giving away too much of the business plan at this point. We chose a market segment that's underserved. And our belief is that with practical application, we can own that space. So scaling it is incredibly scary because you're going out and you're having conversations about things that are in existence to some degree, but are going to radically change. So there's that part. But then there's the part where you're talking to a potential customer about that. And it's this brave new world where they know it's there, but they don't want to hear the words. And then you're the one that comes in and says it.
They're not necessarily the early adopter. You are, and you have to educate them on why you can help them.
Right. And we even had that conversation with someone yesterday where we opened their eyes to some things that they hadn't thought about. And they're like, you know what? I would have never known from a technology perspective that made sense. But since you helped me to understand how I could practically apply it, I get it.
Right.
That's awesome.
And then being responsible for other people and other people's monies.
Yeah. It's all fun and games while you're spending your own money. But as soon as you take someone else's, it's a completely different story.
Because we've bootstrapped until this point.
Yeah.
This is the
So
first
are you guys
time.
working with some VCs or is there anything you can discuss or not really? I mean, are you?
Can't get into too much detail. Let's just say investors in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
And being non-traditional for us, there aren't too many in the Central Florida area that do this, that they're in this type of space. We've also been non-traditional with who we've talked to about investment and the folks that we want to join us, because that's just kind of our thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes it's more important where the money comes from, I think, than it's important you get it, but I think sometimes there's some value to where you're getting it.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to ownership, partnerships, and everything that on that thread. So
I want to know what you're bringing to the table. Like, we've built this company
and
so
how much power do you
well,
want?
right? So well to this point, making the right decisions. Being able to maneuver the way that we need to. So I'm bringing somebody else to the table that wants to take some sort of, have some say in what I'm doing. I want to make sure that that person is well vetted.
I think it goes back to the point that the business has a personality. It is who it is. You want to connect that with like-minded people.
Yes.
So that money, based on where it's coming from, it has to be a like-minded individual or group. So makes perfect sense.
Well, we've done a wonderful job aggregating the right people. We're looking at about 25 people right now that
on your team?
that are either advising us or subcontractors of ours or technology or whatever it may be.
Nice.
So just pulling the right resources together to say we all have a dream. How do we now facilitate this dream together?
This is like tremendously interesting that you guys obviously have shared here today, is the fact that when I met you guys at 1 Million Cups, and I saw that you had your other businesses, I was thinking more of the fact that you're giving back, but you're receiving as much as you're giving in your involvement with 1 Million Cups, and that's pretty. I don't know. It just moves me a lot to know that, because when I saw you guys and looking at your background, I'm like, okay, they got it, they made it, but you're actually receiving as much as you're giving, and that's pretty interesting to see that out of you guys.
I always tell people that it's greater to be a blessing than it is to be blessed, because if you're a blessing, it's because you're overflowing.
Exactly.
But that's why that's why the Bible says give even when you don't have. Just keep giving. The name of our parent company is the Give Company. So it's all about we had nothing when we first started 2 years ago with 1 Million Cups. We just had our ability to come every single Wednesday and make sure that the coffee was there. And just facilitate. And 2 years later, this is what we've been able to garnish, and how we've been able to impact other people and how they've been able to impact us.
Yeah. The people-powered community, right? If you do that and you set the stage for it, people will respond, and they'll do things that you aren't aware of until way after the fact, and someone indirectly will mention it to you. We had a lady that came a while back, and she was new, and we said, so how'd you hear about it? She's like, I was at the Home and Garden Show, and someone told me to come. And we're like, wow, we've made it to the Home and Garden Show. This is pretty serious business.
Big time, yeah.
But that reach, is so important. We always tell people, when you come, you never know who you're going to meet. Your future partner could come to 1 Million Cups. You just never know.
I literally say, we're doing a huge raise, millions. We've bootstrapped, okay? The financial people are looking at us going, how did you do that? Well, wouldn't you like to know? That's part of our secret sauce. I'll let you know as soon as all of that is taken care of, right? But it really is the power of 1 Million Cups and what we were able to garnish from it. We could never have done what we've done if it wasn't for what we've done with 1 Million Cups.
Yeah, and I think some of the aggregate journey in the Orlando community, some of the things that have happened in our 1 Million Cups experience in 2017, Startup Weekend came back to Orlando. This is the 54 hours build a business in a weekend. And in 2017, we were fortunate. The winner for the Orlando Startup Weekend, Taj Adhav, is the CEO of LeaseCake. Taj was not going to even go to Startup Weekend. He was looking for a place to volunteer in the community, had heard about 1 Million Cups. He came, we were talking, because his former company, Channel Intelligence, had an exit to Google. And so he was around, he's like, I just want to help people. Super nice guy, right? And we said, I called him the next day and I said, hey, we've got an extra ticket for Startup Weekend. You'd be a great mentor. Why don't you come? And he says, yeah, I'm thinking about coming. Yeah, he's like, I don't think I'm going to present. I have an idea, but I don't think I'm going to do it. And at the last minute, he decided to pitch the idea. He won. Then he became the Startup Weekend Global Champion.
Wow. Do you remember what the idea was, roughly, the premise?
Yeah, so LeaseCake provides leasing software and technology if you have roommates and you want to handle it that way, all the way up to if you've got probably up to 50 units. Yeah, a leasing company that's got upwards of 50 units. So they've raised a little bit over $1 million in funding through this process. So.
And on that weekend, we actually met our technology partner who's built a lot of our tech.
Yeah.
and who happens to be a student. So
yeah, it's amazing what happens. He was there to present with his folks, and super talented young man, and was there. And Julianna's like, oh my God, we have to know each other. We have to talk.
he's with Florida Polytechnic University,
Right.
and he looked at us and said, I'm tired of Google and everybody else stealing my ideas, so I need partners to be able to work with, and he's one of the reasons why the company is what it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's, again, serving the community. We
Right.
came in as mentors, and then the next year,
So this past year at Startup Weekend, Julianna was asked to be a judge, and I was a mentor. And one of the startups that had come through, a lot of the other mentors didn't think they were going to make it. I spent some time with them. We worked it out. They ended up winning. And the decision was unanimous amongst the judges right away that they were the winner. It didn't take very long.
Oh, so you took on the group that was struggling,
right?
and
And nobody expected
nurtured
them to win.
Oh man!
So here's
Disney triumphed over all victory.
Here's the crazy part. They also became the Global Startup Weekend champion,
Really?
Oh wow!
So that's 2 out of Orlando.
back to back.
Back to back 2 years, we got the global championship.
From your specific group.
Chapter.
Startup
Yep.
Weekend,
Wow.
yeah.
From both, yep.
Dennis Poppy from downtown from Catalyst Spaces was hosting Startup Weekend and bringing that group together of mentors and everything. We produced back-to-back world champions.
Wow.
That was exciting.
Yeah, it
was
speaks volumes about the talent here and what happens if you show up.
And we met Tosh through 1 Million Cups.
Yeah, we met Tosh through 1 Million Cups, and
I need to go hang out with these guys, man.
Guys-
I need a team. Yeah. I'm sick of 100-hour work weeks. Where's my team?
guys, listen, we say this all the time, but just showing up is a big part of it. It's just like waking up every day and being grateful for the fact that you're alive.
Right.
So every morning we do 3 things. We ask, who's new? So who's, connecting? Oh, wait, what is it? So who's coming? Who's connecting?
Yeah, so who's connected?
Right.
Who's connected from here? Who's collaborated?
That's it. That's what I was looking for.
Right.
Collaborated. So and I literally asked them, who met today?
Right.
What business was done? How did your business get further because of the conversation that you now had? That's really important. And then the third word is community. Who did you go talk to? What other organizations were you involved in? Did you talk about 1 Million Cups?
Wow.
How can we help those other organizations?
Wow, that's awesome.
Every single Wednesday morning.
Yeah, guys, I think that one of the takeaways for entrepreneurs watching this show today, no matter whether you're watching it a week or a month or a year after, is show up and get involved. Like, start asking how you can help. You don't have to. You don't have to be an expert at anything. Everybody has something special. Show up and serve. How can I help? What can I do? What do you need? And you'd be amazed at what happens for you.
That's good stuff.
That is cool. I like it because it's almost like, I and I'm guilty of this. I live on my phone, and I just not because I like to. If I didn't do entrepreneur stuff, I'd throw it in the ocean and just go fishing. But I have to, and I become addicted to all the technology. So I love what you guys do with that because obviously with LiAison ID, the technology piece is all tech and very great. But I love the 1 Million Cups aspect that you guys do because it's really people meeting face to face and almost in what has become an old-fashioned way, but to do great things and probably a lot involving tech. So really cool, and I really like that. It's almost like speed dating with other entrepreneurs about business. So really cool. I think that's really fantastic.
We call it people-powered community.
That's awesome.
People
Yeah.
power community.
And the right
People.
people too. The right people,
That's right.
because I forget the value of other entrepreneurs sometimes. And
You
and
need your
that's shame on me.
tribe. You need
I
a
do.
tribe.
I do because I'm sick of. Like I said, I know there's people smarter than me, and I just need to find them and recruit them.
Yeah, a lot of complementary personalities that you don't think of.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys will see a boost in attendance after this conversation. Hopefully our subscribers will take a look at that and make their way over to 1 Million Cups and maybe give them a little bit more.
Yeah, by the way, Scorpio, no matter where they're at, they can watch on our Facebook channel. So we're on the cutting edge of things. We actually are now back in 360 video. Thanks to Don Kirkendall with Kirkendall Insurance, who's been a huge supporter of 1 Million Cups in Orlando. He sponsored us with a great 360 camera, so now we're able to give the experience. If you're watching at home on Facebook, you can move around to see what's going on in the room.
If you want to see Scorpio, you see Scorpio. If you want to look over there, you can. And, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or if you want to visit your local chapter, go visit that local chapter.
Please,
Yes.
yeah, wherever you're at. Pretty much every city you're going to be in, there's going to be a 1 Million Cups close, so go.
And it's is it every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m.
9
Be
a.m.
there before 9 a.m. You're going to want to meet people.
Show up.
People show up
No.
about 8:15, 8:30. Yeah. They're mingling. They're
Coffee's
doing
always
business.
consistently free. That's a thing.
Is there what's the standard dress? Business casual
Yeah,
or
whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may check that out. That's pretty cool. Maybe me and this guy will tag team it and maybe get Bree to come with us. Maybe do a little Facebook live shout out or something.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
what you can do? You set up outside and you can do a little after interview if you want
Yeah,
to,
we would
whatever.
love
You
that.
can promote yourself. Yeah,
Cup and a
that's
half.
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Scorpio's due for an update anyway.
know.
He needs to come back. So
No, I definitely did because, like I said, a lot of great contacts were made there, and yeah, just the takeaway, I'm still impressed from the first visit.
thank you,
Just
you,
hearing-
Scorpio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, that's awesome. We look forward to honestly, look forward to seeing more with the LiAison ID and as that develops. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on that, especially if you guys, if and when you take it public, be interested in seeing that.
Yes.
So be interested to see those numbers. And but yeah, very very excited. So RC, Julianna, thank you guys really for being here. I know your time is obviously very valuable. So it's very very nice to see that you guys work so well together. That you have the technology piece down for this project because that's one thing that I struggle with. I know a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with the tech side of things. So I'm impressed. I'm a huge fan. I'm a fan of the charitable work you do with the Rotary Club as well as the 1 Million Cups. Because at heart, I'm a true entrepreneur. I know this guy is too. And at the end of the day, whether I succeed or fail on anything, I just love the game. And I think you guys share that same sentiment from what I heard. And I think as Jeremy would have said in our last episode, episode 7, I think you guys really have a clear-cut grasp on vision casting to obtain all of your goals and dreams. So very, very, very great interview. Thank you guys so much for being here. Scorpio, anything else do you want to?
No, just think these guys. Hadn't seen them in a while. Great to see them
Good to see
again.
you too, brother. Yes.
Just knowing a little bit more about their story, definitely enlightening. And so I appreciate you guys coming. Thanks for joining.
Give the viewers, if you would, give it real quickly, and you guys are pretty good at feeding off each other. Give the viewers one piece of advice, okay? What can they do right now to make things happen? They've been sitting on an idea. They've been working on it. I mean, I know the standards just do it. The Nike motto. But what is there something that you can say like that would be a critical piece of advice? And I hate to put you on the spot like that,
it's
but
fine.
just something that would really like maybe light a fire in them or drive them or hey, this is what you need to do.
I got mine.
Okay.
Be committed to your commitment.
Okay.
Make a commitment to your commitment. You yourself. Be committed to being the best you. And if you can't be committed to that,
No one else is going to be.
Don't discount the power of your story.
ooh,
You can move mountains, even if you think you can't. We all have one, and your ability to share it with other people and for them to take ownership of it moves mountains.
I needed to hear that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's a great finishing thought, honestly.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
guys, again, Julianna RC, you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scorpio, for being here as well. Bree, we missed you, but we will see you back for episode 9. So, guys, please tune in. Other than that, thank you so much, guys, for watching Our 3 Cents. Again, the talk show podcast for dreamers, doers, and entrepreneurs. Please tune in next week for episode 9. We're not going to disclose the guest just yet. We want to leave a little cliffhanger there, but please tune in. It's going to be very exciting. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.